is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and today we're starting a new series called Reading Dead. So as you might know if you watch my Walking Dead TV reviews, I've never read Walking Dead. I have the trades, I have the compendium, which has like 50 issues, but I've never had the chance to read The Walking Dead. So Mike Spireslayer is a big fan of The Walking Dead, so on GroupMe he messages us and says, "Jay, Kat, why don't you do a Walking Dead series where you review every issue of The Walking Dead?" And I'm like, that's actually a really good idea because me and Jay both wanted to read the series but just hasn't really had time to read it and really had a chance to read it. So now with Reading Dead, we're going to review every trade. It should be a bi-weekly series, so I'm going to be reviewing the first trade in 2 or 1 week depending on time. We're going to see when Jay does the second trade, and I also will read the second trade as he reviews the second trade, and then I'll review the third, Jay will review the fourth, so it'll be me, Jay, reviewing each trade, so it'll be a lot of fun. And again, we'll still be reading every trade, it's just that we won't be reviewing every trade. So I'll be reviewing the odd numbers, Jay will be reviewing the even numbers, because we both haven't read The Walking Dead, and Jay hasn't even seen the TV show either, so he's going to be watching that in the summer. So let's talk about the first trade of The Walking Dead. I've seen every episode of the TV show. I started in the second year of Walking Dead. I saw the first season on Netflix, and then when the second season started, we watched all the way through every Sunday. So I've been following the show for a really long time before it even got super popular. I started watching it once it was semi-popular, and once I heard it was a really good show after season 1. So it's great to binge on Netflix if you haven't had a chance to watch a show. That'll be a whole different video. Let's start Reading Dead with our first trade here. I've had this trade for a long time. You can probably see like the pen marks on the bottom. I've had it for a while. I love the art for this series. You know, something that I knew about this series is a little skeptical on the series also because it's all in black and white, and I'm like, could this work? Sometimes with black and white, it's very easy to blend to the background, and The Walking Dead, it works because of the inking and how great this art is for this series. I love the art for this series, and I think this is what really drags you into the series again, is that inking, and it's like, you can't even tell that it's not colored, you know? You just get so into it. Especially with such a gory book, I think it's very unique that it's in black and white, and I really like that aspect of this book. And I like kind of the cartoony feel we get with this book also. I think it works so well. The art's something that totally tempted me with this read. So in the first trade, we get pretty much half the season of season 1. There's some differences. We get to see Rick. He wakes up in the hospital. He learns about the zombie apocalypse, but we see that Rick's actually a really nice guy, and that's going to change in the book, obviously, and already has changed in the show. He was a good father. He was a cop. He was a wholesome guy, and we get to see that here too. So we get to see that he meets, can't think of his name right now, the father and his child, Morgan and his child. That's the first person he meets to find out that the zombie apocalypse is happening, and they find out that a lot of people went to Atlanta to try to escape the zombie apocalypse because the government was trying to get everyone in one place, and everyone thinks this is just going to blow over. That's a really big theme in the first trade, is like, this is just like a sickness, the government will help us, and there is some losing of hope, I'm guessing, in the second trade, because in the end there's a little lost hope, which I'll get to, because this is spoilers. This series has been out since whatever, so there's going to be spoilers in this review. So Rick is able to find his wife and his son and Shane, his best friend, who's been taking care of Lori, and find more group of people. So Glenn, just like in the show, finds Glenn. Dale's also has his RV. Andrea and her sister, the same thing happens to her sister, where she is the first casualty of this zombie apocalypse, and really knowing of you know, a friend who died. This is the first person that Rick sees. Oh my God, someone just died that I know and I really cared about for, you know, how much time he spent with her. So she's the first one to die, and then same as the show, we get to see that Jim also gets bitten. So if you get bitten, you die also. So, of course, we know that about The Walking Dead. If you watch the show, if you don't, we learn a lot of the culture of these zombies. Donna, I don't remember her. Maybe she was in the first season. I guess she was, but she must have died pretty early because I don't really remember her. Carol's introduced here, but I don't know if she had the abusive husband still alive in this, because you could see she had an abusive husband. They had those overtones here, but you don't really get to see her husband there. I remember in the show the husband was actually still alive, so I guess that's one thing they added into the show that they didn't add. Well, obviously they added for the show that maybe is a little fresher to readers, because you can see there are elements that they add to the show that make it a little fresh for readers, and for me vice versa, because I'm reading the comics second. And I think that's really my only complaint about the first trade, is that it's so similar to the show. I know it diverges a little bit more as obviously the comic goes on, and it's a premise, it's a basis, so you're going to have a lot of the same things. So one thing that happens in the end of the trade, which is really the biggest thing that happens where it's going to hook you, is that Shane dies a little earlier than expected, because Carl kills Shane. Shane's having an argument with Rick. Shane cheated with Lori, which happened in the show also, but Shane survives a lot longer than he's supposed to in the show. In the comic, he dies by Carl's hands. He's like, oh, that didn't feel like killing a zombie, because it's Carl. He loves killing people. You know, it's a child living in the zombie apocalypse. What is right and what is wrong? And I think the themes are really well told here. In the show, I feel like sometimes it's forgotten. You know, I feel like those themes could be a little heightened in the show, and in the comic, they're really heightened here. And I like that idea of what is wrong, what is right in this world, and it's really questioned a lot in this issue, especially since it's the start of the zombie apocalypse. So I really love the themes here. I like that a lot of people went into their social roles, kind of, in a way. I also like that aspect where the woman would like clean the clothes and the men, they go hunt, and then Donna would question that, and as the series goes on, there won't really be gender roles. It'll be like, we're here to survive, and you have to learn to fight. You have to learn to do these things. And even though that's the first instinct was to go to those gender roles, it obviously changes as this world changes. So it's really interesting to see this whole world change, and it's going to change. And in the first volume, it's just showing this is this world. What the hell's going on? And we're in Rick's point of view, where we're in the middle of the zombie apocalypse. We don't know how this happened. I think that is the total interesting thing about The Walking Dead, is that we don't know how the zombie apocalypse happened. We don't really have hope. Because we didn't see the government start clearing out the zombies. And Rick even doesn't have that hope because he hasn't seen that hope, just like us. He's like, I really don't think the government's going to go save us. We got to move. And Shane's like, no, the government's going to go save us. So I think that's a total interesting thing here. And one thing, you know, that I love and hate about The Walking Dead, I want an origin story. I think we all love origin stories. Like, I want to see how these zombies exist. Like, why does it exist? But that's the point of The Walking Dead. It never was about why these zombies exist. It's about survival. So the themes are really great here. I think they're much more heightened in the comic, and really interesting story. Lori's still annoying as hell. Shane was kind of cool. Again, I liked his death. Carl, he's a lot younger, which is really cool to see, and I know he's going to become more badass, hopefully less annoying than the show, because I really don't like Carl in the show, but I'm looking forward to seeing the comparison between the show and the comic, and once I pass the show where it's at, because they're up to like issue 30 or whatever after the governor, so I'm pretty sure I'm going to pass it pretty quickly. I'm really interested to see, as I watch the show, the differences between the comic and the show, and like where they diverge paths, where they usually do that with the show. Is a little bit different for the comic, and I think they do show that in the first volume. There are some differences, but it does stay pretty true to the first season. But really, I honestly really like the comic. I love season 1 of the show too, so I don't want to compare which one's better, because they're both good in their own way. But as this show goes on, I will be comparing the show with the comic book, because that's just I saw the show first. But hope you guys enjoyed. Please tell me what you guys thought about The Walking Dead. I really liked it, and like everyone said, that last page really gets you to want to read more, and you're like, oh my god, I can't wait to see what happens next. So really enjoyed this. I'm going to give this a solid 4, again, maybe because I already knew what was going to happen. I think this is going to be a lot fresher for probably Jay because he doesn't know anything that happened in the show because he hasn't watched a television show yet. So he doesn't know what's going to happen in the comics, so I think that's a little bit more of a fresher set, but I already knew what was going to happen. So I'm going to give this a solid 4. Really enjoyed this, and can't wait to read more. So I will have another one up soon, and next up is Jay, so if you want to go follow this along, we do have Volume 2 coming up very soon, probably 2 or 1 week, who knows. I hope you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno and Comic Frontline, and I'll see you guys later. Bye.